Good morning and welcome to our brand new show, The Art of Healing, with myself, Lucy, and the lovely Caroline. We thought we would create a YouTube channel as we both have stories and things to share around how our art has been part of our healing journey in many ways. So we wanted to do a little show that we're going to put out every couple of weeks and talk about all of the different aspects of how healing and art and creativity and all sorts of things around that. So we jumped on this morning on our first day, the 15th of January, because today is my 5-year sober anniversary. Yay! Um, yeah, so we thought that we would start this morning. I'm going to share a little bit about my journey and where that's gone over the last 5 years and where I am now, to celebrate that, so that any of you that are watching that don't know me or are a little bit new to my world or want to hear our stories, we thought we'd potentially start with that today and see where the conversation takes us, because we were just having a chat before we came on, weren't we, about the freedom of not scheduling what has to be said and allowing ourselves to just talk and see where things lead. So, yeah, so I'm going to share a little bit about my journey first, because it's really interesting to me to see the difference in myself over the last 5 years, where my journey's taken me and what happened 5 years ago to get to the point where I am now. And for 24 years of my little life, I was addicted to drinking alcohol to help heal myself, to help numb all the feelings. I didn't like what I was feeling. I didn't think I was good enough. There are so many things. There's so much depth to what was going on for me. Half of it I can't even remember because it feels so long ago, but it feels so far away from the person that I am today. But essentially, around 13 years ago, I came across an understanding of the mind called the Three Principles. My auntie teaches it, and I'd gone down to visit her and I saw how much she'd changed in her life, and she'd left an abusive relationship and she was happy. And I was like, what is it, and what is it that you have that I don't feel? So in a nutshell, my auntie and I started having a weekly chat, and I started to understand that I was love at my core, and that I was perfect and whole and complete, regardless of what my mind and my thinking and my chattering was doing. So, kind of fast forward, what the reason I was talking to my auntie was because I was in a relationship at the time, and I knew I wasn't being my best. I was mentally abusive. I wasn't a very nice partner, and I didn't want to be that way. So I wanted to talk to my auntie to basically sort myself out, to heal, right? To get myself as the nice person that I knew I was underneath. Um, so I wanted to quit the drinking. That was my goal. That was my goal, to quit the drinking and be a better person and show up well in this relationship. That I knew the relationship was a really, really good relationship. And I wanted that to heal. So after 8 years, 8 years of exploring the conversation and understanding myself, and so many things changing, Caroline, like so many things fundamentally fell away from me. And I could feel that as a person, I had changed so much, but the drinking hadn't shifted. And what I mean by that is, it's not that it hadn't shifted, it hadn't changed. There was so many there were so many changes in how I was behaving. So of course the drink changed, but it didn't go, right. I didn't quit the drink. um However, 5 years ago, let's say trying for 8 years to quit the addiction, um I found myself in a relationship. I'd split up with my ex, yeah, years before this, and I found myself in a relationship, And I found that I was really struggling. I'm very open about this usually. I share this on our stage at the conference and everything, but I was struggling in the bedroom. Like, it was very much for me. I felt I wasn't good enough and I couldn't perform sexually and that kind of stuff, as in that was a mental thing. I just didn't think I was good enough and nobody was going to kind of want me. So I used the drink so that I would drink and then I'd be able to just do what was needed to do in the bedroom. And there was a point that I'd reached, I'd obviously fundamentally changed a lot. And there was a point that I reached where, while I was in this relationship with this woman, I thought, I can't keep doing this. I cannot keep hiding behind the drink and sustaining this relationship and only being able to have sex when I'm drunk or when I've had a drink. So that was like the turning point for me, Caroline. With that, it was really, that kicked me up the arse. And funnily enough, the woman I was with ended up cheating on me, which obviously isn't a very nice thing to do. But in the midst of all this, I could see that that's what I needed. I couldn't do it myself. I couldn't get out of this relationship and stop the drink, and I couldn't stop the drink in the relationship. I just didn't have the strength or the courage or whatever it was I needed. So with her cheating on me and doing that, it gave me an out. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? Like it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. Although a lot of people would have used it as an excuse to carry on, I think.
yeah. But I think because I'd done so much work and I was in the place I was in, I could see enough that I was like, oh, this is a gift. Like, this is a gift for me right now. I need this because I'm asking. And I know me and you talk a lot about asking the universe for what we want. And we don't always realize what we're doing. But I was asking to free myself from alcohol and I couldn't do it myself. So along comes the universe and says, well, if we put this in place and this in place and this in place, um, so I can see, you can, with hindsight, you can see after.
It's so funny. It never
Yeah,
like happens the way you think it's
yeah. You
gonna.
wouldn't say, oh, please, I want to stop my drinking. Can you make this happen? And can you make her cheat on me? Can you do
Yeah.
this? But I really, really saw the gift in it and thought, wow, this is incredible. I and I finished it with her because yeah, there was stuff. It was a little bit complicated, but there was stuff going on, and I was just like, okay, if you can't make a decision, I'm gonna. And I stood up and said, no, I need to do this for myself. I'm done. So I finished with her, and I went home,
Did that
and
help your confidence? Did that help your confidence though that you actually had the courage to finish it, sort of with all your insecurities and stuff?
yeah, because sometimes I feel like you can hear people often say things like, why is it always me that has to do that? And it's like, sometimes I can feel that sometimes. Why is it me that has to make the decision? Why is it me that has to be brave and finish this? And I realized, because I'm the one that wants the growth and the expansion. I don't want to stay here in something that is not sustainable. I want to be an incredible person and step into that more. So I want to do this. So it's me that's got to be brave. So yeah, it does fill me with confidence, and it does. And then quitting the drink, like the whole thing around quitting the drink for me is everything that comes up in my life now. I kind of measure it back to that, and I'll be like, look what you did when you quit the drink. You can so do this. You're so okay. You've got this.
Yeah.
It fills you with like in a good way, knowing that we hold all the power within. So yeah, after I finished with her, I literally went home and sunk a bottle or two bottles of wine or something. I was literally like, I'm getting pissed. I'm getting pissed. So I just got pissed. And the next day, I quit. I stopped. I know. I was literally like, I'm just having one more blowout. And I knew I was ready to do it. I'd been testing and I'd been trying to cut down drinking and play around with it and all that stuff. And I just knew I was ready. So I kind of embarked on this 30-day challenge. And the challenge was called an experiment, and it said you couldn't fail. And I'm all up for not failing. So yeah, in a nutshell, that was the start of my journey. And for almost 2 years, I think it was, I went completely like teetotal, completely sober. I didn't touch a drop. And then I had more of an insight, should we say, around it all, and realized that this isn't what I want to do and who I want to be. It was more, I knew I had fundamentally changed. So I knew that when I took a drink, that I wasn't the same person. So I wasn't drinking from that headspace
You
of,
didn't need it in the same way.
yeah. So I found a way to, because I quite like, well, for the last few years, I've quite enjoyed having a drink. Um, so I found a way that for me felt healthy and balanced, and I would occasionally have like half a cider or whatever, and it felt to me like the same as I fancy a cup of coffee and such like. So that's
It's
where
the
I've
intention
been.
behind it, I think, isn't it? You had like a completely different intention behind the drinking from previously.
Yeah, and a lot of people like say, "Oh, I don't know how you can do that," and it must take strength, or all sorts of things. I get lots of people commenting and asking and um, kind of being curious about it. And to me, it makes complete sense. It's like, we have, as humans, I think we tend to be one end of the, I don't know, spectrum or whatever, and we swing all the way to the other end. So
Like black and white, isn't it? There's no like
yeah,
middle ground.
yeah, and the middle ground to me is like the balance. So like, I'm not saying it's right for everyone or whatever. It's completely a personal journey. But for me, the way I found it was, I've done the inner work to such a degree. Like, I'm so proud of myself of how I've changed, that of course I can have a drink. It's absolutely fine, because I'm not interested in trying to change my feelings and all that kind of stuff. So it
It's
made
kind of just,
sense.
it's a want rather than a need. You want to have a drink,
Yeah,
you don't need to. So
yeah,
it's like
it's
distinction.
different. And that has only come because I am not the person that takes the drink for that reason. Do you know what I mean? So I can't stress other than I've fundamentally changed. That's the words that came to me around it that make sense. So of course, if you're fundamentally a different person, you're not, it's like giving me a drink or giving you a drink. It's a different person. I'm a different person. So that's made a lot of sense to me over the last few years. However, I've had a new little insight around it. I'll share this little bit to start with, and then I'd love to hear some of your um, journey around art and healing as well. Um, because, well, oh yeah, that would be a good point to make, wouldn't it? Like, the whole point of this was when 5 years ago, that's when the art came through me. So that's when I began realizing that I had like a gift and a talent and a I don't know, just like a calling for this creativity to, it just kind of burst through me. Like, obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but me and you didn't know each other then 5 years ago. Um,
Mm.
and it just blows my mind. It's almost like I feel a bit like um God said, "Oh, well done, Lucy. You've done amazing. Here you go. Here's a gift for
It's
you."
as
And
if,
then give me my art, like,
had you ever
genuinely.
painted before that?
Yeah,
Had you painted before?
I had actually, but it's probably best part of 20 years ago. And I did a few pieces. My mum's got them in her house actually, and I look at them every something. They're all right actually, but I never thought I was good enough, Caroline. It was the same thing. My whole life, the whole thing with all the drink for those 24 years was everything I did came from I'm shit, I'm no good. So I did paint a little bit because I've always been quite arty and I'm good at drawing, writing, that kind of stuff. And it was very much like, oh, these are shit, I'm not very good. So of course I didn't get very far with it. I only did a few pieces, but yeah. So I was going to just share where I'm at today with the drinking, because this is really like fresh and new for me. So I'm definitely feel quite vulnerable sharing this, but we'll go there. So just before Christmas, I was having a bit of a, I didn't realize, I don't know if you ever get this, Caroline. I didn't realize I dipped quite a lot mentally. I was feeling quite down, and I was ready for a break, as probably a lot of us are when it comes to Christmas. And I decided I'm going to take 3 weeks off. I need a break from um, the studio and the art and work and everything. I just need to do something different. And I'm very aware of myself these days. I know how I work. I know how I need time as soon as I need time, and my body will tell me, right, stop, you need to stop and things. So I was really, really looking forward to 3 weeks off. And I was thinking about Christmas, and I was going over to spend Christmas with my mom. And what I've done the last couple of years at Christmas is I always have a drink. I'll have a mulled wine with my mom, or a mulled cider or something. And this year I was like, okay, why are you doing that? Is this really coming from a healthy place? Why do you do that? Like, there's definitely a bit of habit snuck in there again. And I really like looking, I think we're really good at kind of pretending to ourselves, and we can be like, no, I'm fine, and it's healthy, and I'm okay. And I'm very curious about being, is that really what's going on for me, or is that an old version that's still playing out, um so when I went to my mom's for Christmas, I thought, I'm not going to drink this Christmas. If I'm healthy and I don't drink because I don't need to, then I'm not going to drink. And I also noticed that Christmas is always a bit of a weird time of year for me. I always used to feel like I don't know what to feel, and I'd get bored,
Yeah.
and I think I should feel excited, it's Christmas. And I know that I used to drink because of that. But obviously the last couple of years drinking at Christmas, it's been a bit more like, oh yeah, I'll have a drink, it's Christmas. Caroline, I'm one of them people that does not like doing the normal thing in the world. Like, we call ourselves
Like you, really?
yeah, I know. We're like, we live supernaturally. That's what we say here. We like living supernaturally. So I don't like all this. Oh, I'm stressed, I'm gonna have a drink, I'm gonna have a fag. It's just bollocks, in my opinion. It's bollocks. We don't need to do that, and we do it out of habit. We say those things and we do those things. And I thought, you're doing exactly the same, Lou. It's Christmas. Have a drink with your mum. Do you really want a drink? No, I want a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I really
You know what? I
don't.
kind of did a similar thing this Christmas. I wasn't stressed. I think it's a habitual thing. Like, for
Mm,
some reason, you feel at Christmas you need to be stressed, and this year I was like, I'm just not going to be stressed.
yeah, I know. I remember you telling me about that, and
Yeah.
it is fascinating, isn't it, when we look at
Why am I
just
making myself stressed over something?
yeah. I feel like it's like looking at it on a bit of a deeper level, isn't it, and being a bit more honest with ourselves. Are we good? The
That's the
dog's
dog.
good.
Oh, the dog was just joining in with the conversation there.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, that's where I'm at 5 years into my sober journey, and I've kind of decided for 2025, I'm done with the drink. I'm done. That's kind of my insight. I'm like, I don't want to drink again. I really, if I really, really like the taste, you can get non-alcoholic,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
well,
do you actually like the
non-alcoholic
taste?
stuff.
'Cause, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sometimes
So
it's just 'cause you actually like
there must be a little bit of something, and I'm being really open and honest and vulnerable here. There must be a little bit of something inside of me that is actually saying, I like the little buzz still off a little drink. And I'm like,
maybe
yeah,
it takes the edge off something. Like at
yeah,
Christmas, maybe there's still some of those feelings you
mm,
felt uncomfortable with, and it
yeah,
just takes that little edge off it. Or
absolutely.
even if it doesn't necessarily take the edge, it's something you always used to do, and there's still that little
Yeah,
part of you that's like, "This used to make me feel better." So, because your brain's just
yes,
trying to keep you safe, isn't it? It's just trying to go back to the
yeah,
familiar things that make you feel good. So it's like, "That used to make me
yeah.
feel better, so I need a drink."
Exactly that. It's so that, Caroline. And then, so what I feel is, I think it's really, really important that I call myself 5 years sober. And that to me is a sober mindset. That's how I see it.
Mm.
The difference in how I am 5 years on. But my journey is not done. I'm not here saying, I know that I am never going to drink again. I'm not, I'm here saying my journey is ongoing, and I'm still exploring, and there's deeper things to see, and I'm seeing new fresh stuff all the time. I did not expect that over Christmas to happen, but I'm really proud, like, I'm really chuffed that I didn't drink. And I watch my mom. My mom doesn't drink loads, but she'll have a couple, and I know my mom, and I'm not slating her, but I know her, and I'm like, she's not drinking because she wants to. It's because she thinks it's cool or whatever. And I know that because I've done it
Because
myself.
it's Christmas and you have a drink.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating watching people around us, isn't it, as well, that are like, especially because my mum's really similar to me, or I'm similar to my mum, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to think I'm cool and do. I don't really care if I'm cool.
Oh, I think you're cool.
Yeah, me too, really. But thanks. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and it's really nice to kind of share that in real life with people and let let
I
the
think so, 'cause
conversation
I just
go.
think
So
it's really helpful for people to hear journeys, even if it's not an addiction to drink. Most of us are addicted to one thing or another, and also I think it's important to realise it's
yeah,
not. I think people, well, I'm an impatient person in general, but I think people think it's going to be done. You don't realise it's years. It's, to be honest, I think it's a lifetime thing. You're always learning and growing
mm,
and finding things
definitely.
out about yourself. It's never going to be a like bam 6 week program and whoo healed. I just
Exactly. That's why I like our calling the show the art of healing, because obviously that works with us both being artists, and the healing process is, it's an art, isn't it? It is an art, and our art is always growing and evolving and changing.
and
And
it's sometimes it's like 1 step forward, 3 steps back. You think you're getting somewhere and you're like, yay, I've got all this stuff, I feel really good. And then like you'll have a minute. But I think it's just learning that you've got to roll with those and that it's
yeah,
okay to feel like that because we're human. I used to be really tough on myself when I had low periods. I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm actually really lucky. I've got this and this. Other people are worse off than me. And that's all true. But that still doesn't change the fact you're human with feelings and you're going to feel like that from time to time. And that's all
mm,
right. It's just learning to feel it, let it pass through you, I suppose, not wallow in it. And not let it take over your whole life. Just learning how to accept
yeah,
that's the way you're feeling and then work on moving on from it.
yeah. I know, I love that. I've really been exploring that quite a lot lately, with the whole just feeling that like peace within, because that's what we're all after. That's what we're
Yeah.
here for. We want to experience the joy and the love and the freedom and the peace and
The
all
more you
those
surrender
words.
to life and surrender to the way things are, the more
Yeah,
peace you feel. Well, for me, that's
we-
been the case anyway. So
yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's what I love about the conversations, though, because it isn't that we know the answers or any of that, but we're experiencing personally in different ways with me and you. I love when we have our conversations, we chat a lot on WhatsApp in between little podcasts.
it's that lot of shit.
It's great. And we're always, there's always whatever's going on for you is going on for me, but in a different version. And it's
Yeah.
really fascinating, isn't it? To see the areas where we're similar, but it's
I
a
think
different.
I think, like you said, I think it all boils down to that one thing that we don't feel good enough. No matter how it comes out for you, it's
Yeah.
always boils down to something
Mm,
inside you's feeling not enough or not
yeah.
lovable or not worthy or not worth it. There's always that's what's underlying it. I mean, for you,
Yeah.
it's your alcohol. For me, was a lifetime of people pleasing, always trying to be perfect, always trying to be the good girl and do everything right. And that was for me, was my addiction, I suppose, and for a while,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Well, like, it would be great. Do you want to share a little bit more about your take on the healing and the art, and where you're coming from, and yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit
well,
of your journey.
mine's been a lifetime of people pleasing, basically. So I sort of, I mean, I'm married. I've got four kids, four lovely kids. Wonderful husband and everything. I had a job for nearly 20 years in childcare that I loved for a long time, and then I ended up being a manager, which was not an ideal role for me, particularly being a people pleaser because. As a manager, you can't please everyone all the time. So it's something I really struggled with. Then about 3 years ago, I had burnout. I just completely crashed and just it was all just too much. And I think I just completely lost myself, Lou. I was so disconnected and far from who I was.
Yeah.
And just after a lifetime of doing everything for everyone else, not in a self-pitying way, just as in a general wife, mother, daughter, friend, boss, you just everything to everyone. And I think for a lot of women, when you have a life like that, you just lose who you are. And I just
Yeah.
didn't know who I was anymore. I so yeah, I sort of had my burnout and I started seeing the counsellor. And I think like I remember going to me, what do you want from this? And I just want everyone to think I'm a nice person. And then in that moment I'm like, yeah, well, there's something wrong here because realistically, like out of all the billions of people in the world, like I don't like everyone. And everyone is not necessarily going to like me, but that's okay. We don't have to be liked by everybody. But for me, it was just like the ultimate it was, yeah, I just couldn't bear the thought of someone like being upset with me, not liking me. And I think my counsellor asked me one time as well, what are your core values? And I was just like so far removed from myself, I couldn't even have told you. I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know who I was, what I wanted, what was important to me, past the usual things of kids, husband, blah, blah, blah. But on a personal level, I'm just like, I don't know. don't know. It's just that moment when you're like, shit, I don't even know myself. I don't
Yeah.
know what I want. And for me, it felt selfish to start thinking about me and putting myself first. I really, really struggled with that. Putting my needs first felt like the most selfish thing in the world. And it's taken me such a long time to realize that actually putting yourself and your needs and making yourself happy first is actually the best thing you can do for other people. Because if
Yes.
I'm happy, and I like my best self, then that's what I'm giving to other people. I'm giving them my best self. I'm showing up for them in the best way I can. So actually, it isn't selfish. I think, you know, you need to look after yourself first. You need to
Mhm.
put yourself first. Yeah, and I also realised that through people pleasing, I was actually like being really manipulative and lying because I just wasn't authentically myself. You're
Yeah.
trying to be all these things to different people, like to make them like you. So actually, I was being really what I didn't want to be. Which if someone said, "Oh, do you think you're a manipulative person?" I'd be like, "No." But when you look back, you think, "Shit, it actually is," because I wasn't being
Mm.
authentic. I was trying too hard to be liked. So you'd like agree with people or say you like things you don't like because you want them to like you. So it took me a lot of soul searching in a really, really long time to come to terms with it and to just think, do you know what? This is me. I just need to show up as myself authentically.
Yeah. It's cool when you see that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did your art come about then? Was that to do with all of your burnout and things?
Yeah, so I'd always painted like you when I was younger, always painted. And then when I had my kids, family, job, you know, it gets pushed to the back burner. And then when I started feeling really stressed, I started painting again just as a way of being mindful because it just
Yeah.
takes you out of your head. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just focusing on that. So it just kind of went from there. It just, and then when I was having my counselling and she's like, what would you want to do? And I'm like, well, I want to be an artist. That's what I want to do. Well, actually, what I said is I want to just fly free. And a bit of money.
And here
But to
you
be
are.
fair, here I am. Like, but honestly, the minute you realise that all you need to do in life is show up and be the best version of yourself and be authentically you, I feel it's a moment I've got so much freer. Obviously, I don't want to go around upsetting people, but I've realised actually I need to put in those boundaries. I need to be authentically myself, do what's right for me, and it just feels so free. Because Paul, my husband's always never cared what anyone's thought. He just sort of, you know, he's the best person ever, but that's never something that's worried him. And I'll go to him, is this what being you's like? Like not worrying what people think and not like and like saying no to people and not I've really noticed like I say no to something, I don't feel that need to justify myself, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you can
It's
just go,
so
no, actually,
freeing.
oh no, like without feeling like I have to make an excuse. Like
Yeah.
when I left my job, I took a part-time job in Sainsbury's for a while just to kind of tide me over and they'd asked me to do overtime and I just go, no, can't do it. And but it was before I'd feel like I had to go, no, I can't because blah 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 blah. And I would just go, no, that was it. So it's an answer, all of
It's good, isn't
itself.
it?
And it's
Yeah.
amazing. And actually, I feel I got so much more respect from people just from being. I
Yeah.
went into that job thinking because it was like completely different. I'm like, I'm just going to be myself. I'm just going to not, you know, put my boundaries in. And honestly, I felt like I got more respect from that part-time shop job than in all my years of being a manager. It's weird. Just from
Nice.
being like that change in that shift in me.
Yeah. It's good, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
yeah, I think I forgot what I was gonna say.
You was gonna say I'm awesome. That's what you were gonna say.
No, I was gonna say about the freedom thing, that was it. It's like that's um I've just started this podcast with Angelina and on there we were talking about that the other day about our I think we were talking about the desires, like our deepest desires. And I don't want to spoil it in case anyone wants to listen, obviously, but um I know that one of my things I've been asking for a lot lately is like freedom and flexibility. And I know you're the same with
Yeah.
stopping with your job and being like just living life, innit? Just really living life, not living life so that or living life so that or doing this so that we can make money and all that kind of stuff. It's like for me it's living from the person I want to be, like the intention of I want to
Yeah.
feel free and flexible and then
One of my
doing those
words
things.
here was intentional. I just
Yeah.
want to do things intentionally, not because I feel I have to, not because I think I should, not because it's what I've always done. I
Yeah.
just want to, I think I said to you, like, only a really small bit, it's just like a really small example, like, I only put my Christmas tree down a day or so ago because I really liked it. It was all cozy with the twinkly lights. I loved it. I'm like, why do I feel like I
I
should
love
put
it.
it down at this point? You know, to be fair,
Yeah.
if Paul hadn't been, let's put it downstairs, I probably would still be up now. But I'm like, I really like it. I don't want to feel shoulded into anything. I just want to do things
No,
that feel, you know, that feel right for
exactly.
me. And once you
Yeah.
start doing those small things, you just start off doing, you don't have to do anything major. You can just start off doing small things and then it just builds and your confidence builds and you just get more used to it. And then it will become your new habit that replaces your old.
Yeah. That's it, isn't it? Yeah. The awareness of that, and how when we start seeing the small bits and like kind of, it's not quite this, but maybe training our mind to look for those small things
Yeah.
all the time,
It's curiosity.
and
It's
of
being
then you
curious
see
and
more.
questioning yourself.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? I've started really like with Christmas, I didn't get stressed. Why am I getting stressed at Christmas? Why was I doing that to myself?
Mm.
You know, and a lot of things I just start questioning like why I'm doing them and where it's
Yeah.
coming from.
Yeah. Same with me with the drink. You know, again, here we are 5 years on, and I'm still saying, right, hang on a minute. And I
Yeah.
think it's quite, like, it's quite brave to do that. Like, I feel almost naked saying this. Like, this is really new for me. And I have to admit that, hang on a minute, I'm still drinking, even though I call myself sober. There's something going on here. And I don't mean I'm drinking, there's just more to see, and it can be, we often put on that mask of, oh, I won't share this with anyone because they think I'm sober. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks of me in that way at all. And I'm like, it's much more powerful and helpful to share the honesty of what's going on for me, as actually I'm not as sober as I thought I was, if you like.
Yeah, but
And
that's
it's
okay.
all
It's
part of
layers,
the
isn't it? There's
journey.
layers to
Yeah.
everything, you know. You
Yeah.
keep peeling it back, and there's always
Yeah.
going to be something else under there that
Yeah.
you need to unpick. You
Yeah.
know,
I know.
definitely.
This, and it excites me so much as well, because I'm going to be talking about this at the conference. So I'm like, yes, I've got like even more new material as well and stuff. So it's really
I
cool.
think they're little gifts. It's little nuggets of wisdom and things that you
Yeah.
didn't know about yourself that you're learning all the time.
Yeah.
It's good. It's better to get it, like, to find it and get it out there because otherwise it's
Mm,
just going to be there, isn't it? You just need to
yeah.
learn these things. I'm learning stuff
Amazing.
all the time. I get triggered by things sometimes, and then I think whereas in the past I'd have like got lost in when something triggered me. Now I'm like questioning why has that happened? Why has that annoyed me or upset me? Or why have I felt the need to defend myself over this? It's so interesting and fascinating how your brain is just trying to protect you and trying to be
Yeah.
kinder to myself rather than get annoyed with myself. Just be kinder and think, you know, at the end of the day, your brain's primary function is to keep you safe. So it's just trying to keep me safe in the familiar, and it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, questioning why it's doing that and what it's telling you.
Yeah. Yeah. The more we understand that, the better we kind of operate, if you like. And I like to think that I thrive more in life than just kind of survive, if you like.
Life's for living. It's taken me like 50 years to realise that. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like life's meant to
Yeah.
be living and enjoying, not being stressed all the time. I'm not saying things don't happen. That's not what I'm saying. Things do happen, but you can still
Mm,
choose your responses to them. You can still choose what you take from them at the end of the day. You know, everyone
yeah.
has things that happen in life that aren't ideal, but it's what comes out of it after that, I think, and what we learn and
Mm,
grow from them. Well, for me, that's been the case anyway.
yes. Absolutely. And I think that's probably a nice place to finish on, really, now, isn't it? And I'd like to say that anyone who's watching and has enjoyed this, don't know about you, Caroline, but I'm always up for questions or ideas for
Mhm.
topics, because we'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to put this show on every 2 weeks and talk about different subjects and topics. So yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you so much, Caroline. And
Thank
we,
you.
yay, we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.